Hi everyone, and welcome to this time-lapse version of two gorgeous French bulldogs in front of a very cosy fireplace. This is done in soft pastel like all of my work. Do check out my other videos here on YouTube, lots of content if you're interested in soft pastel, and do subscribe if you like my videos. Also consider checking me out on my Patreon channel for my full-length videos and lots of extra help there. But I hope you enjoy this video. So what a beautiful commission this was to work on. Fantastic photo reference. My client took many photos throughout this process together, and we ended up getting the most gorgeous composition of the two dogs in one of their favourite spots right in front of the fire. And I love the idea of the challenge of creating the cosy warmth of the fireplace and also trying to get some of that reflected light on the dogs, which you'll see later. So apologies for the speed of this time-lapse video. It was a really long painting to complete, so to make it sort of watchable and a shorter time for the time-lapse video, I have sped it up quite a lot. But hopefully it still gives you an interesting overview of what goes into creating a piece like this. So this time I'm working on Pastelmat paper. I've done quite a few portraits on Pastelmat, but a lot less portraits with full backgrounds like this, so I really wanted to give the Pastelmat a chance and see what it could do for backgrounds, as I've been really impressed with it with most subject matters that I've tried. And I have painted a fireplace before on velour with two cats in front of it, but that was a slightly different challenge as I was mixing and matching from photo references, so it was a real joy this time to get the full composition and poses of the dogs all within one photo reference, a real dream to work from. And if you're working with clients on pet commissions or any kind of portrait commissions, just try and make sure that you get the best quality photo reference to work from. And I know that that's not always the case. In fact, it's seldom the case when you're first starting out. And I've worked from lots of bad photo reference in the past. But you do usually regret saying yes to those jobs because you don't end up producing your best work. When I get a photograph like this to work from, I know I can really do my best on it. So that's what I try my best to limit myself to these days, just taking on the commissions which I feel I can do a really good job of. And it's hard to be selective when you're trying to earn a living being an artist. I know that from many years of struggling as an artist. So it's not easy to be selective, but you're trying to keep your own quality high all of the time so that everything that you do can be something you're proud of. Because the opposite is very frustrating, producing work that you know isn't your highest standard, but that it also isn't your fault, perhaps because of the poor photo reference. So I'm always stressing to my patrons to go in search of good quality photo reference and to be a bit more fussy with your clients. In the end, it's them who are going to get the better painting, so always try to explain the importance of this stage to your clients. So with the fireplace complete and the roaring fire, I had an interesting challenge to create this lovely stack of firewood. And if you noticed in the photo reference at the start, I removed some fire tools just from the left of the composition. I thought they were a bit too much or unnecessary, but I didn't want to remove this lovely firewood. I quite fancied the challenge of creating those. And perhaps the fireplace and the firewood especially might make some interesting longer length tutorials. Those I release onto my Patreon channel. There are some here for free on my YouTube channel if you fancy checking them out. But my full catalogue then you'll find over on Patreon. And this sort of thing is just what I'm looking to release as tutorials, because a lot of the time you focus on painting the main subjects, but you don't really practice painting other things, like the amount of random items I've had to include in certain portraits But everything I just tackle in the same way, looking for the shapes, the colours, how light is hitting the object. So I don't try to let any object in particular appear more difficult than anything else that's in the portrait. To me, if you can tackle the really detailed face of an animal or a person, there's absolutely no reason why you can't paint backgrounds. But I know that it's something that a lot of artists shy away from, myself included a few years ago. And it's definitely an area that I've worked a lot on, and that's one of the reasons that I include so many background tutorials on my both YouTube and my Patreon. So on to the first of the cute faces. This is Heidi, and I love how even within the same breed, certain dogs have so much of their own character. And I love the characterful faces of a French Bulldog. But they're both so different, and you can see that they've both got their own personalities going on. Also told by my client that Heidi was the much more reluctant of the two posers. And I think choosing a shot that shows that a little bit in her face is quite apt. You always want the pet portrait to capture their personality or their character. So it doesn't always matter if dogs are looking directly into the camera. I think it says more about her character that she's not. So using a mixture of the soft pastels, mostly Unison colour I use, along with some Faber Castell pastel pencils. And just as always with fur or different textures like this, working from dark to light. Using the pastel pencil mainly just to shape into place the pigment that I've put down using the softer sticks. And Pastelmat's really great for that. It allows a lot of detail. And I'm really starting to enjoy this paper. I still have to admit that I love the finished look of the velour paper. But I'm definitely finding that this paper allows even more detail. And in certain portraits, that's a good choice for me. Not always. If I get a photo reference that it's a bit more blurred, I might want to use the velour paper and go for a bit less detail. But having said that, I can get just as much detail on velour. There's just a certain crispness about this Pastelmat that suits certain portraits over others. And I think in this case, I really liked the sharpness of the background. It's not set far away in the distance, so it's not out of focus. Everything's really in focus and crisp. So this paper worked really well for that, and that's something I'll be talking a lot about in my tutorials, which will come from this footage. I've already got some tutorials on how to create a French Bulldog and other types of smooth coat, including brindle. But I'll certainly take a closer look at some of the background elements from this piece. So even down to the carpet on this one, even it took me a long time to build up each layer. There's quite a large area of carpet to fill, so I really just had to take my time using the softer sticks. But rather than finishing the carpet at that stage, I like to take a bit of a break and work on something else. So onto Hugo's lovely face. And I really think this is the poser of the two. He's catching the viewer's gaze and really sitting like a pro. And what I most loved about Hugo's coat was how those reflections from the fire just dance off the back of his head and down his back. So it was nice to add some of the really vibrant reds and oranges from the fire into his coat. So a lot of lovely, rich, warm colours going into Hugo's coat. So if you're just starting out with pastel, it can be quite daunting knowing which colours to choose, which paper to choose. So I invite you to definitely have a look around on my YouTube channel here. I have lots of informational videos comparing different materials, telling you how to get started, and also some paint along demos so that you can work alongside me to complete your first pastel painting. This has taken me many years of practice. I've been working as a portrait artist for around 12 years now, and I already used pastel before I turned professional as an artist. So me and pastel have a long history, and hopefully by sharing lots of my tips I can help lots of other artists grow to love this medium too. This week alone, I've had the pleasure of seeing two of my patrons get some really good press online from Unison pastels, and it's a joy to see people who I've seen progress over a few years now starting to do really well in their own art careers. So that's another thrill from my own work, getting to see that. And I've also just run a competition over on my Patreon channel, and the standard of the entries blew me away. It's so exciting to see other people progress on their art journeys. And I think because pastel is something that I'm passionate about, I'm always looking other people to find it and enjoy it as well. It's something you definitely want to pass on and share around. I want to see this medium grow, and I want to see lots more people enjoy it. And I hope that you've enjoyed seeing this cheeky pair in front of the fire come together. It's been one of my absolute favourite portraits to work on. So thanks again for watching, and until next time, happy pasteling.